Do you identify yourself as an artist?
Hi.
Hello. Long time no see.
Yeah, for real.
Like it's been
a
whole summer.
Yeah,
I feel
like more than a month for sure.
Yeah. How was the trips? How was the venture? For those who don't know, Birgit just went on many, I guess, work trip and personal trips away. She's basically avoiding New York City for the whole summer.
I also missed it a lot.
Yeah.
It just piled up. Like one thing after the other came up. And my problem, I just can't say no to a trip.
It's a good problem to have,
Yeah.
I think, at some point.
Yeah.
And quoting our good friend, I was going to say Birgit, Julian.
Yeah.
Quoting Julian that he once mentioned this to me, and I never forget, like, the best of New York City is when you leave it and you come back to it.
I think I told him that first.
Oh, really? He took it? He's just been using it as his own.
That's okay. It's the best thing about leaving New York is to come back.
Yeah.
And I feel like with a place like New York, you do need it. You need to get away sometimes because it can get just so overwhelming and a lot. And then you leave and you feel like, oh, finally out of the city and like somewhere in nature and whatever. But then like after 2 weeks or something, I'm like that feeling of coming back and seeing the skyline again. And I'm just like, okay, that was,
When you come back to which airport do you usually like to fly out? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So do you usually take a cab or a subway to come back to your apartment?
I take a cab.
So you get to see the part of the actual skyline and stuff.
And you forget about like you see the skyline so much when you're here all the time.
I know.
That it kind of gets normal.
Yeah.
And then you get used to it, and then you leave and you come back and you're like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember.
You feel like so small at those moments, but so significant. It's such a cool feeling.
Yeah, and there's something about, I feel like when I was a kid and we went on vacation and coming back was only negative news. It was like, oh, I'm back home in this place that's so boring. And now it's nice that like as a grown-up, you get to choose the place you want to live. So that coming home is also exciting.
It is.
All of a sudden. As a photographer, it's also... it's so exciting to go out and like photograph adventures and landscapes and new things but then you come back to New York and you're reminded again of like all the opportunities you have here to take photos in. And when I don't leave for a while, I get very lazy in taking photos around here, and I always feel like I need to leave in order to find something I want to shoot. And but after a trip or like an extensive trip, I'm like, oh, I want to go back into Manhattan. I'm like, I'm ready for those streets again. And
recharge, refresh.
Yeah. So that's nice.
It's interesting, actually. This also would be an interesting conversation to start too. To navigate like a familiar space and finding it interesting. Wesley? He based in Amsterdam, I think. He had the book about notice and just walking his block over and over and over again, I think right after pandemic, and trying to find interesting elements in a very familiar space and try to photograph them. So how do you for people who might not be able to travel easily, what is a practice that you would do on a daily, or how do you refresh your perspective in your neighborhood?
I think that's something I also struggle with a lot. And if I'm in the same place for too long, I don't see things anymore. You get kind of
fatigue, I think.
Yeah. And it doesn't look interesting anymore. When that happens to me with New York or just the city in general, I like going back into my archive to see photos from like the first few months that I spent here and to see what I photographed then. And of course, like this is years ago, and I don't think my photos were particularly good, but I remember the feeling.
The fascination.
And I remember how exciting it was and what stood out to me that maybe now doesn't, but like kind of that reminder is helpful.
Yeah, digging through the archives. And
that's one thing. I'm trying to do that more these days, to try to look back at my old work because I feel like there's a lot to discover there.
I agree, though. Yeah, I agree. Looking back at your own work helps, especially when you have a fair enough time and distance from those work. It actually creates such a helpful perspective and new way. You are able to kind of analyze it from not so much of a subjective view. You can actually analyze it as a photograph, as an artwork, which I always feel weird to talk about my own work as artwork.
Yeah.
Just because you're so attached to it. But once you have a distance to it, you can actually see the beauty in it and analyze it more fairly. So I agree. Totally. I think it's a great practice to do that. Yeah. And even to print some out from your old work.
I need to do that more.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about it. I mean, that's how we started this podcast, was when we started looking at photo books and sharing that with each other and finding things that we're like, oh, wait, this would be so helpful. I think not just to the two of us. It would be so fun. I also recently heard this. I actually should remember where I heard this from. But someone was talking about when you feel uninspired as an artist, it's a reminder that it's time to receive or to get, to absorb.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So
I think the worst thing is this feeling that if a lot of us have, where you feel like, oh, I need to create something, but I'm empty, I can't. And then you kind of you try so hard to create and nothing really works.
Burning out.
Take that pressure of creating off, just go to a place that where you can take stuff in. So I do like to go when I feel empty and not know what to shoot or what to do. I go to galleries and museums, and I think also it's important to go see other art that's not photography.
Totally
but
agree.
Just to take that in and see what happens. But and then allow yourself to have a phase of not creating, because this is the phase of recharging.
Recharging.
And then you lose that pressure, and
for sure. And also sometimes it doesn't even have to be visual art.
Yeah.
Like musical art, which we love. And sometimes performing art is so pretty.
Yeah, whatever. Honestly, yeah.
And you like reading and writing, and that's also a way. I think in the hard things, I think I personally struggle with is that I love taking photo, and I'm lucky enough for this to become a full-time job. But it's hard to find a boundary of this is still my hobby, and I still feel that way. But then this is what I do 24/7, basically. Do you ever find yourself being I'm so involved in this world and I can't really take a day off from doing this because it's technically my job, but how do I keep myself still feeling so fresh and in this world of photography? And
it's a little different for me because for my job, it's not only taking the pictures. If I don't feel like I can take anything good today, I can just focus on some other marketing computer work that I can do. But I think the same thing. It's also be aware that part of your job is also experiencing art in, other art, or going to see someone else's work or talking to a friend about it. All these things are part of the job as well, I think. Yeah. And it's okay that there are days when it doesn't, it's not working out, you can't do it. Or I think that's just as much part of the process.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have also, you can always go print work that you already like, as
True.
If you don't
finding a new way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many steps of this photography process that you can just go to a different stage of it at any point.
I feel like there's so many layers and verticals to just photography in general, and also as an artist. It's such a hard. Do you identify yourself as an artist?
No, I'm trying to, or I want to. But it's hard.
What do you think? What's the definition? What's the criteria? What makes an artist an artist?
I mean, if I was talking, to someone else or about, it's someone who creates something, right? I was just actually talking with someone about we saw it was yesterday. We were at a burger place, and
love that how the story begins. And we were in a burger place,
and I saw this girl set up her phone with a big light, and she was, you know, creating content around this grilled cheese that she was eating, and it was, you know, and I cringe in those moments so much. I have like the biggest barrier of like filming myself in public. I don't even like taking a selfie with a friend in public. Like that makes me uncomfortable. Like to an extent that's probably too much. Like I just shouldn't care. But and my friend was like, well, they're also that's also just a form of art. They're creating something. It's just not like in the world that we are in. But I you know, and in a way it's true. It's pop culture art. It's a different form, but like someone's putting in effort and time to create something. Whether I think this art is important or not doesn't matter. They are creating something that is a sort of performance art that lives online in a way.
I never heard about someone saying like pop culture art. That is so interesting.
I mean, today, what it is today, you know,
right?
And like, and this is, I'm throwing that out there as like, I'm happy to argue about this because part of me also does not want to accept it as a form of art. I'm just saying, I think if you break it down to an artist is someone who creates something for the sake of creating, I guess, or to present it to someone else, to show it to someone else, and then that would include.
I heard someone saying like artists are just not scared of dying, but they wanted part of them to live, like have an immortality into something else. So to create something is to have that exist.
Yes. I would guess it's not every artist has that craving, but a lot of artists have that craving, and is part of why they want to create, because you feel like, you know.
I always wonder why, because we can say we take photos, we like to make art, but when it comes to a none of like photographer and artist, it felt so huge to take on the role like that. Like almost, I think it almost adding it to a profession. And I think part of it is monetary too. Like to call someone an artist, a photographer, is when they make money doing such thing. At least in my head, maybe that's just like the Asian upbringing of like.
It's funny because most art, like if you look back into at like famous artists, like most of them, for the majority of their time, they didn't make any money with it. Right. Like it wasn't, or like there's tons of people who at the time did not make any money with their art, and you would say like they're definitely, you know, like a Hemingway is absolutely.
But they sell now.
Sure.
So then we call them artist.
I don't know. I don't think that, to me, that isn't necessary. I think to me, someone who their entire life works a job, a 9 to 5, and creates on the side can still be an artist, because it doesn't matter how good or bad your art is. That's just like, are you a successful, sustainable artist? But it doesn't matter. Like there can also be, I mean, Vivian Maya didn't even try to sell her photos or do anything with them, but we would still call her an artist, right? Because she did create.
Yeah. But in hindsight, we call her an artist. I wonder if do you think she ever considered herself as a photographer, an artist?
We'll never know.
We never know.
But, no, but there's so many people who paint their entire life and would say they are also an artist. You're just many more things too, right? True. You can be your profession, you can also be an artist.
They all can be true at once.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I think we both have a very romanticizing like desire to kind of think of New York in general and like what we do and creating photos. But I think this is how we were, the starting of this podcast, when we were sitting at a coffee shop and looking at the book that what was the book name again?
Yeah, don't bring that up.
But we were talking about a lot of it. You feel, or when you want to feel the emotion, you actually read or view those work to feel that way. And I was like, I completely don't agree, because for me, sadness or like emotion can actually bring me to places where I don't feel like creating. And it was just funny because I think you also consider art as in such a romanticizing way, like as it doesn't have, that person doesn't have to have the status or like the anything, whether it's successful or not. It's the feeling, it's the grind, it's the about them. And in my head I'm like, I agree, but also how can I call myself that just because I have the desire to?
Because you do it. Because I think there's a lot of people who have the desire to create and don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the distinguishing factor.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, but to me that this has a lot of times been like this tiny little voice in my head that I had to remind myself that even though it's so simple and it means so much to me, this reminder that whenever, the only difference between me and an artist that I admire is that they're doing it. And
it's true.
Whenever I'm like, will I ever get to a point where I can make a book? Will I ever get to a point where I can show my work in a gallery? And no, I'll never reach the point where I'll feel confident enough that I have the best possible work or body of work I can have. I will always feel like I can do better or more. The only difference is this other person just did it. They just went with what they had at the moment and were like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and it's just not gonna be the last one. And I don't know. That's something for me I need so constantly to remind myself to just do it.
Yeah.
And even if that's because sometimes I'm overthinking my photos and then I'm like, I don't want to go out without knowing what to shoot. I don't have a good idea, or I don't want to book a studio because I don't have a great idea. And then I'm like, no, I just need to do it.
I'm going to share a quote I recently read in Chinese. So hopefully I can like do its justice in translation, but it helped me so much. And I think it made more sense in Chinese, but I'm going to try my best. Let me find it. Someone was talking about life, nothing about just art in general. 好的和坏的掺在一起的整体，这就是人对完整不是完美的固执吧。Which in English translation is the mixture of both good and bad this is human stubbornness towards completion and not perfection. But in the way that this quote really got to me was, so completion and perfection in Chinese sound very similar.
Okay.
If we have to break down the actual literal word by word, is 完美 is perfection, is a complete beauty. And 完整 is a complete whole, like a wholeness. And they all have the word complete in them, but they are complete in different ways. And I think the beauty in Chinese is sometimes words are very like visual to me, and I struggle with making things perfect because I think it's part of it's insecurity of like I don't know what is perfect, and it will be a lesser of work if I don't make it perfect. So I keep trying to make it as perfect as it can be. That leads to never completing things.
Right.
And I've heard people just do it, but that never felt right in my head, because how can I call myself a quote unquote artist if I don't want to make it perfect? But to think of completion as actually a complete project, a complete whole, a wholeness of things, it helps me to kind of get rid of that, like what it says, a stubbornness.
Yeah.
yeah, if you think about this is deep, but like if you think about life as a whole, it's a completion.
Right.
But we keep chasing this complete of beauty that kind of lead us to a lot of, you know, struggles in some ways. So yeah, it might be helpful to think.
Totally. No, sense. I think a lot of artists struggle with this, right? Where we you never feel like it's quite there, it's not good enough. But really, yeah, it's about,
but like not good enough.
Finish something.
Not good enough in what way?
Right, for your own standards. Because I think it makes sense that you always think you can do better, because you are a mind that wants to create, and there's no limits in what you can create. And so the perfect photo like doesn't exist as that, because there's always, you know, or like there's no limit on like how to arrange your photos for a gallery, how to print them, and like all, like there are always more options. I feel like it's important to remind ourselves that if we are looking or striving for like perfect art, if something is perfect to me, it kind of loses a little bit of like
to AI,
your humanness, right? Like you don't want something like, then we should shoot like the best possible digital camera for a perfect flawless image. You don't actually want the perfection as an artist. You want it to be you, and that comes with flaws, and it comes with like little
I just
things.
think the word perfect is just so constraining to people. Like what is perfect? Some people might actually see one of our photo and felt perfect,
right?
But we knew that there are things that we could do more of. But yeah, I just really appreciate that word, breaking it down into a completion of beauty, because at the end of the day, I think for visual people like us, the perfect means visually better. Like there is beauty, whether the beauty lays in like the meaning or something, but we're chasing that beauty into its completion. But like you said, when the beauty is so complete, it might actually loses like
it's fun to look at, or like
so symmetrical, so something that just don't we don't feel things when we look at things that is quote unquote just nothing to pick on,
right? And also I think it goes back to kind of like this little bit of like the sadness topic and stuff. I feel like if you want emotions in it, if you want like a little sadness in your work, it also can't be perfect. I feel like negative emotions like that can't exist in a perfect piece, maybe, because there's vulnerability, I guess is really the word, but like
I think it's a dynamic is how can you have bad when you don't have good, and how do you have good when you don't have the bad? So I think the dynamic is what makes things so interesting. And like you said, like if we exist in a perfect world, then nothing is interesting. There's no ups and downs, there's no I agree. So speaking about the emotions and how sometimes we view things and I can evoke some sort of feelings out of us, we were one of the topic that started the whole podcast in the first place was about emotions and photograph, and we gave each other assignment in our first episode about we subconsciously take a lot of photos, and I think we subconsciously put a lot of emotions into the frames, but when we stop and think, I don't remember the last time that I was actually purposely making an image out of emotion, out of the status of my feelings and thoughts. So we gave each other this assignment. Do we want to talk about how we did? It's been maybe a month or so, or maybe more than that, since we gave us.
I feel like I had it was kind of like on my mind the entire time.
Same.
On travels. But it was harder than I thought.
It was so difficult. I'm so glad you said it, because I was about to admit it was one of the hardest things. And it's always just there. And I felt strengthened in the way that I couldn't do it quite easily.
I couldn't do what I wanted to do, which was to take a photo that is purely the emotion and not aesthetically in any other way. Like, but I was also like, it was hard because I was on all those travels and there was so much beauty in my mind, or like exciting things to photograph. And I sometimes thought like, oh, like this could be, like this could capture that in for our challenge. But then at the same time, I'm like, but I'm looking at this already because it's pretty and like I want to photograph.
I think that for those who maybe listen to this episode for the prior knowledge, was that we are so mechanical in the way we take photos because we know what makes a good photo. And it's so hard to pass on a good, like technically good photo. But sometimes we forget. We forget that kind of connection between our heart. And like you said, I think a lot of time I see something really great and I reverse thinking, like I kind of go reverse in the way that what can I talk about? Like what kind of emotion can I insert into this photo so then I can fit into this assignment that we gave each other. Yeah, but it was... So can I tell you a really embarrassing part?
If you want to.
I think this was maybe 2 weeks into this assignment. And we thought about filming this episode a lot earlier, so I was really trying to get that photo ready. It was raining, so let me paint this picture for you. It was raining. This summer, like earlier this summer, it rained a lot in New York City. And I remember that we just haven't seen the sunlight in many days. And I was wearing this new pair of shoes that weren't very comfortable, especially in the rain. And I remember coming back from a grocery store, holding a bunch of things. And my feet's definitely hurting. And with the rain, everything just felt really tragic. And I saw this mailbox, the one that you, because I know you write letters and we drop off at one of those mailbox before, and I never knew that they are still working until that week.
Until you saw me drop a letter in there.
Yeah,
I remember you saying like, is that gonna arrive? Like
I was like, is it gonna, like, do people still pick up those things? But that's why I started noticing them, because we talk about those. And I saw this mailbox in Soho, and I just saw like rains coming down, mailbox, and the sky was really dark. There's some lamps that kind of still illuminate out of the street with a lot of water on it. So it just a lot of, darker image. And then I looked down at this mailbox, tragically in the middle of like this scene, and I only had 3 legs, and one of the leg was like bended. And at that moment, I just related to it so much. And it's kind of embarrassing, but it was a part of me trying to make that assignment work. So I was looking at it, I was like, can this be a photograph of me feeling how it feels? Because I'm in this rain. I forgot whether I had an umbrella or not, but I'm definitely soaking wet. And looking at this mailbox with one leg kind of just
Did you feel forgotten, like a mailbox? Like...
Do I feel like a forgotten mailbox? I felt a little helpless at this scene, because holding a bunch of things with my leg definitely hurting, and this mailbox were just like still standing strong in this scene, because I still had 3 legs.
Yeah,
but one of them just definitely taking a rest. I remember. So I was very consciously brought out my camera, and I put my flash on and I took a photograph. The photo itself didn't really show up because the flash, like, this is a technical brain comes in. I couldn't get too far away to get that entire scene because the flash isn't strong enough to actually bounce off. But like the scene itself is a broader scene, but the photo I took was much more close up because I just want to get that broken leg. But yeah, that was my first attempt, and it felt really literal.
Do you feel okay sharing it?
I might be able to find it.
Yes, I would still love to see it.
It definitely just felt so literal. I think every assignment for me, whenever I challenge myself, it always starts from a very stupid point of like, what is the most obvious way to do this?
Yeah.
So that's
a good start to do it. And it's also, you don't need to stop and have one perfect photo. Like you can
it definitely wasn't
explore
perfect.
what it means and like in how many different ways you could approach this topic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I can try to find it.
Yeah.
But later, out of a very like technical mind, I actually took a photo I really enjoy, which the rain started to actually pour. There's no way that I could walk, and so I kind of I stopped at this corner street and just seeing everyone, and I had the thought of wanting to put flash on at this rain, and I wonder how the flash can freeze this moment. And I took a really technically good photo, but
just as in general, I love flash rain photos so much.
It's
so fun.
It creates so much more dimension than just the rain itself. Do you put flash on even when it's like kind of bright out?
Yeah,
but
just whenever it rains, it's like just try to get a few of those drops in your frame. It's so fun.
So good. It's so good. Okay, so let me try to find. I can show you because I actually printed the one that it was good. I printed at CRC, and Tony was like, "Oh, that's a good photo."
Aww.
But now I feel like I put too much emphasis on this photo. Maybe you wouldn't think it's a good photo. So this was, I will show you this to you right here. This was like
that's great.
That was the second attempt.
That's a really cool photo. I just love the rain like that. It's so fun.
And this was, what's crazy? This was shot around 4 p.m., which is pretty bright out. But the rain was coming down so hard that the entire scene looked like it was shot at night.
What did you shoot that with?
Guess, what do you think I shot it?
The Pentax?
I don't leave without a camera.
Okay, that's cool. You printed this one?
I did.
That would be cool to see.
It is fun seeing it larger.
Pentax 17 to be precise, right? So half frame camera.
Half frame camera.
Do you know what the film was?
I'm pretty sure it was Color Plus, and I either pushed it 1 or 2 stops.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that.
I've been obsessed with pushing my Kodak Color Plus.
Well, I think this still captures kind of that same feeling of the mailbox that you're describing. I mean, it's a similar vibe, right? It's like a lonely man in the rain. It's darker than it is in reality. Like knowing that also adds something. It feels darker than it really is. We should also mention that for anyone listening, not with a video, not
our video viewer and audio viewers,
that audio listeners can find all those photos we talk about on our Instagram that we are about to create.
Stay tuned to the end of this episode and create this page with us.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. But we should still say what it's called. So that if they listen now, they can look it up.
That is true. So Birgit, what is this called?
It is called BS Photo Time.
BS Photo Time, all in one word.
Yes. We checked, it's available. Unless someone takes it in the next 30 minutes or so, we'll...
that would be so tragic.
We'll have that.
Imagine it was Dave.
It's because we want a place where you can look at all these photos that we talk about if you are listening on your phone. If you are on YouTube, then you'll have the video and we'll add it there. But yeah.
And it's about completion and not perfection.
Thank you.
Because those photos were just showing as a supporting visual to what we talk about.
Yeah.
And they might not be the best things.
No.
We might not share them as like our...
As like, hey, this is great photos we created. No, it's like we tried a challenge. This is the best we could do.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and it's probably going to happen that like next week we'll both be like, oh, this, like now I did it, or like
it's a footnote.
It doesn't matter. Like in this month that we had with this challenge, that was the best we could come up with. I also really struggled with the assignment, as mentioned, and yeah, because I feel like I remember a time when I was taking photos with that mindset all the time. After moving to New York, it was like a time where I was mostly shooting with a point and shoot camera. I wasn't going out to shoot photos or didn't have to shoot anything for work. I was really just like, I was going out partying all the time with friends, and those were the moments when, but like that was the time when like this point and shoot felt so valuable, because it felt like these like I wasn't thinking, I was like, any moment that felt like fun or special or anything, like like I just took it and like never use the viewfinder. It was just, but it came from it doesn't mean I wasn't thinking at all. It came from a like emotional point where I was like, I want to remember this moment as we're laughing at this stupid thing, or as we are dancing to this song, you know, like, it came from a very like just emotional like point. And I feel like at that time I had way more frames that like that feel like that, like that challenge. So
can I bring up something that's kind of interesting I'm noticing?
Yeah.
When we started this whole challenge was you talking about sadness and like emotion, or there are a lot of value in like sadness, I think, or just a general more negative emotion. There's more depth into it, or it stays with someone longer. And what you just talked about was happy.
Yeah.
And that's great. And I think it was such a it's not like us. It's kind of the opposite, because I just talked about a sad scene that felt like capturing, and then you're just sharing the happy thing that you want to remember.
True.
Yeah.
There is this, I feel like there's always sadness in my mind, though, because I know I said happy and all that, but there is a sort of sadness to wasting your youth in drinking. Do you know what I mean? How
did you even spin that?
No, and it's not. And I know that in the moment I took the photos, it was very happy. But I think looking at them afterwards, there is, like, to me, there is, because it's either out of boredom or out of, I don't know what else to do with my life. I don't have anything actually meaningful to spend my time doing. That in my 20s I went out so much was because of a lack of something more, like something important. And so I think it was even, it was also a very lonely time, and a time in search of something. And it was a lot of wasting time that I spent my nights being awake doing that. And I think, to me, those even all these type of party snapshots a lot of times capture something very sad. But I'm sorry, but it's true. There's also happiness in it. There's fun in it.
Yeah.
But there's
masking something.
But there's some depth that's not so.
You're too good at spinning that.
I'm not trying to. I just truly feel like it. It's like a lot of those documentary photos of youth culture. It's like romanticizing something very sad. And because it's this feeling of kind of being lost in a way, which I think we all go through, and it's very normal and part of the process. But it's not it's not really meaningful to be out getting wasted with your friends every weekend. You do that because you don't really know yet what else to do with your...
Now hearing this, I feel like it needs to be a book, or at least a show.
Maybe I think more time needs to pass. But once everyone has kids and houses,
a retrospective of our 20s and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the challenge that...
Yes.
Were you able to capture? You told me that you might have a few options.
I have options. I'm not... I also didn't have the one shot where I was like, this is it. And I think I start with one that also includes rain, because
We like
there's
rains.
a common theme. I wasn't outside as it was raining. Thankfully, I was inside.
That's the best time to see the rain or to feel the rain.
Right. But it was a moment. So in France with my family, we were on a little riverboat for a week.
How fun. For a whole week?
Yeah. And we were driving the riverboat up and down the Saône.
I want to hear all about that.
And it was really cool, but it was a big enough boat, but we were like 7 people, including a child, and it was very, for that it's a small space, and so we were together a lot, and it can feel very like
suffocated.
Just like, it's a lot. And there was one afternoon we just had docked in this small little town that was gorgeous. We had parked on the dock right in front of this bridge, like an old stone bridge that connected like 2 parts of the town, and it was extremely picturesque and beautiful. And half of our group went to, or maybe more than half of them went to a supermarket to get more groceries. And I think it was 2 or 3 of us that stayed back on the boat. And we had only perfect weather up until then, and in that they had left, and like 5 minutes later it started pouring, and it just really quickly got like really poured. And so we ran around and trying to like close all the doors in all over the boat and try to make sure we don't get soaked. And so it was like this really stressful moment for a second, and then everything was closed, and I just stood there, and it was like quiet for the first time in a week. And all you heard all over was the rain just dripping onto the boat really heavily. And that's really loud on a boat. But it felt, but I think we didn't talk. And I think it felt just so beautifully like quiet, even though it wasn't. And but solitude, that I was like really enjoying that moment. And I looked out, and there was this swan right outside on the river that I had just before was trying to get some snacks from us, and like was like right really close. And the swan had like gone out a little bit further and was just kind of like in the middle of the river all by itself. And before that, there was also it was with its family. And I felt so sad for this one that it was out in the rain. But I also felt like I looked at it and I was like, we were experiencing the same moment right now. And it's kind of, I don't know, it just felt kind of like, that's nice. And I love, as much as I love photographing the rain with a flash, I love photographing the rain on a window. So I took this photo of the swan just through the window in black and white, and I was like, in that moment I was like, I'm so happy I have black and white in here right now, this is perfect. And it's kind of a little too wide, I wish it was a little closer, but in a way it also helps that feeling of just you're like by yourself,
very hollow in a way,
and it's like kind of isolated and sad, but it's also a good feeling.
No, see, I'm so glad you had a wider lens, because then you see the window from like, you can see the frame of the window a little bit, so you can tell that it was taken outside.
Yeah.
And
it's not a photo I'll like,
no, I really like it.
I'll print or anything, but it does its job in capturing exactly how I felt in that moment, even though it's out the window. So I liked.
And then, yeah, there's so many things I could like start to break down in this photograph. For me, well, black and white was such a good choice.
I happened to have it in the camera, Sissi. It's not.
No, but like it was perfect for the scene, and then the frame that comes from the left side of like this framing, and because the rain, I assumed that the distance of the bridge and some skyline was a little fainted, in like a different shade of gray, that just helped with the kind of like how far you are to the land, and also how isolated, and the solitude. I love it. It is, objectively a really, really good photograph.
Thank you.
With that layer adding to it, it's just, it's so beautiful. In Chinese literature, a lot of people will use water to describe heart. Like emotions and heart. And the ups and downs. And the way that emotion hits. That a lot of people use the surface of water to describe the waves of emotions and how it comes up. So that felt right for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the shortest little rain pour, but extremely heavy while it lasted. You know, it was
Feel like
one of those moments, one of those like summer moments where you're like, we needed this.
Yeah. A refresh.
Yep. I like that we both have a rain photo.
We both have rain photo. I'm just, the photo that actually was captured was not very good. So, yeah, no, I applaud to you.
What do you mean? You mean
the actual mailbox.
The mailbox.
I don't think I even saved that photo. That's how, like, I didn't feel that was a good photo. That's why it's not.
But then you got the other one. And
I did get another one.
That's okay.
Yeah. But also yesterday, well, not yesterday, 2 days ago. And again, that project still, like the assignment still very much on my mind. And I was, well, for those who doesn't know, I recently got a bike out of, I didn't need a bike. I never.
Of course you need a bike. Everyone needs a bike. You ride the city bike all the time. You need your own bike.
Funny thing, I never owned a bike in my life. I never had a bike when I was a kid. I learned how to bike on like neighbors' bicycle because we never had the means to buy a bike. And I wasn't even confident in biking when I came to the city. But anyways, long story short, this bike presented itself to me. It was so cheap. Someone was trying to get rid of it for $75. And I was like, 75 on what? In my head, I'm like, that's crazy. So now I own a bike and it's kind of a new toy and I like to bike around a lot. Just go on a long bike ride. And I'm realizing this, that I think a lot when I'm biking. It just, I don't know, like the way of a ride kind of just, you're just zooming it. And so this weekend, I was biking a lot with no destination in mind. And I was coming back from like Upper West Side, pretty far up, like 100 and something street. And it was right after the sunset. We have this kind of blue hour feeling. And that whole day felt a little, it's not lonely, but I felt a little by myself in the way that I was just on the bike, zooming through the city, feel small. And I, coming back from like that hour, and I saw this lady in the perfectly lit lamp under like this perfectly beautiful street lamps. She's sitting right in the middle of the bench with two lamps by her side, and the blue hours of, I think it's like Jersey or like somewhere at Fort Lee, like that scene. I just documented on my phone. I think I posted on the story, so you might have seen it. Felt also one of those moments that I was able to translate how I feel into a visual. But again, it was sad. And I don't understand why it was so sad. It was this.
Ooh. Oh yeah, that's pretty. It looks like out of La La Land.
A little bit. And it was just on my phone.
That's beautiful. Love the colors.
Yeah. I've been obsessed with just editing in the photo app. Just a little bit of tint, like a little bit of like highlight, like exposure controls, and yeah. I don't know. There were just a lot of those moments, and I wonder why it's all sad. I'm not a sad person in general.
But it's again, it's these things where it's like, it's not purely sad. It's beautiful at the same time, right?
Yeah. No, I don't know if...
Because you were enjoying the being alone on the bike. You were enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
As that. And this woman looks like she's enjoying looking at the sunset by herself.
Yeah. But there is a layer of emptiness.
Yes, but that's a beautiful thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Solitude can be very beautiful.
It could be.
And good.
Yeah.
I feel like we always come back to that topic, but
I think so. I think why it's so valuable for us to have conversations like that. I'm sure we're not the only people who are thinking this way.
Yeah.
But it was so rarely talked about in like such an emotional level of photographs, and as someone who take photos, and I think it's beautiful. I'm glad we're doing this.
Me too.